handbag. Ancient Sumerians were more than familiar with handbags, or perhaps objects that modern people perceive as such.
Imagine this. You're standing inside the ruins of an ancient temple in Mesopotamia. The air is thick with dust and silence. And on the stone wall before you, carved thousands of years ago, a winged figure stands frozen in time. In one hand, he holds a pine cone. In the other, a small object that looks uncannily familiar. A handbag. The same object appears again, half a world away, in the jungles of Mesoamerica. An Olmec priest, wrapped in feathers, clutching the very same shape. And again, in the oldest temple ever discovered, Göbekli Tepe, where the first humans carved what looks like a handbag above the heads of animals. Different continents, different millennia, but the same symbol. What were these people trying to tell us? Why did civilizations that never met, never traded, never even knew of each other, carve the same mysterious object into their sacred stones? And what could possibly be so important that it echoes through 12,000 years of human history? Some say it's just a ritual bucket. Others believe it's something far greater, a symbol of divine wisdom, a container of cosmic knowledge, or even the tool of beings not from this world at all. Because when you line up the evidence, from the Sumerian temples of Nimrud to the volcanic plains of Levanta, and the prehistoric sanctuaries buried beneath Turkish soil, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Humanity has been haunted by this image for longer than civilization itself. So tonight we open that ancient bag and ask the question no archaeologist has ever truly answered. What was inside the handbag of the gods? When archaeologists first unearthed the palaces of ancient Mesopotamia in the mid-1800s, they expected kings, thrones, and gods. What they didn't expect were handbags in the ruins of Nimrud and Nineveh. British explorer Austen Henry Laird noticed something strange on the walls. Rows of winged beings carved in relief, each holding the same small, curved-handled object. At first, he called them mystic emblems. He didn't know what to make of them, but those carvings, silent and deliberate, would go on to puzzle generations. In the art of the Sumerians, the earliest known civilization, these beings were called the Apkallu, half-divine sages said to guard sacred wisdom. In every depiction, they're shown carrying two things, a pine cone in one hand, symbol of life and regeneration, and in the other, that mysterious bag, sometimes called the bandudu. To modern eyes, it looks almost comical, like a handbag on a runway model, but to the ancients, it was sacred. Every line, every fold of that carving had meaning. The Apkallu used the cone to sprinkle holy water from the bag, an act of purification meant to restore cosmic balance. The water, they believed, carried the essence of the Get, the life force that renews creation itself. Yet here's where the mystery deepens. After a century of digging through ruins, archaeologists have never found one of these objects. No stone, no metal, no clay replica. It existed only in art, not in physical reality. So, was it a tool or a metaphor? The story doesn't end in Mesopotamia, thousands of miles away, in Mexico's Tabasco region. Archaeologists uncovered an Olmec monument known as Monument 19. It shows a priest emerging from the coils of a serpent, clutching the exact same shape, a small rectangular bag with a curved handle. The resemblance was uncanny, and this carving wasn't from 700 BCE. It was nearly 2,000 years later. Across an ocean, no ships, no trade, no shared language, yet the same symbol reappeared. How, then? In 1990, a German archaeologist named Klaus Schmidt uncovered something that pushed the timeline further back than anyone thought possible. Deep beneath a hill in southern Turkey, he unearthed a temple older than Stonehenge, older even than the pyramids. It was called Gobekli Tepe, and on its massive T-shaped pillars, among the carvings of foxes and birds, was the same strange object, the handbag of the Maz. This time it hovered above the animals like a cosmic emblem, as if hanging between heaven and earth. Think about that. The same design appears in cultures separated by oceans and millennia. That isn't coincidence. That's memory carved into stone, somewhere deep in humanity's collective past. That symbol meant something profound enough to survive the flood of time. Most scholars today agree on one interpretation. The handbag was a ritual vessel, part of a purification ceremony. The bag held holy water, and the pine cone acted as a sprinkler, a kind of ancient aspergillum. The Apkallu, they say, weren't aliens or gods, just spiritual guardians performing a sacred rite. Archaeologist Reginald Campbell Thompson wrote that these carvings were visual prayers, placed in palaces and temples to invoke divine protection. In this view, the bag was never meant to exist physically. It was an artistic shorthand, a symbol of purity and divine life. And that makes sense. Ancient Mesopotamian art was full of stylized symbols. The tree of life, the winged sun, the eye of Marduk. None of them literal, all of them alive with meaning. So, perhaps the bag wasn't an object at all, but a concept, the container of divine order. Still, one can't ignore what the scholars themselves admit, for all their explanations. No one knows why the same image appeared in places so far apart, so early and so persistently. Göbekli Tepe alone predates Sumer by 6,000 years. If the Mesopotamian bags symbolized ritual purity, how could a people from the Stone Age have carved the same design before writing even existed? It's like finding the logo of an iPhone on a Neolithic wall. Maybe the answer lies not in what the bag was made of, but in what it represented. To the ancients, every vessel had spiritual meaning. To hold water was to hold life. To carry was to create. In myths from Egypt to India, the gods are described as vessel bearers, custodians of creation's secrets. Could the handbag be the first universal metaphor? The idea that divine knowledge is a thing to be carried, protected, and passed on? If that's true, then maybe the artists weren't just decorating stone. They were documenting something humanity once understood, but later forgot. Of course, not everyone accepts the orthodox answer. Beginning in the 1960s, a wave of writers, most famously Erich von Däniken, proposed a different idea. What if the beings holding those bags weren't symbolic at all? What if they were real visitors, carrying tools that our ancestors mistook for sacred relics? This became the ancient astronaut theory, and it captivated millions. The bags were reinterpreted as portable power units or energy devices, advanced technology described through primitive eyes. To believers, the repetition of the same geometric design across civilizations proved contact with an earlier, more advanced species, perhaps not of this earth. Skeptics dismiss the idea, calling it pseudoscience. But whether you agree or not, you can't deny the fascination it holds. Humans have always sensed that our history is incomplete, that we're missing a chapter, and symbols like this feel like bookmarks from that lost story. Another school of thought dives inward instead of outward. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, argued that across all cultures, certain shapes and images reappear because they're part of our collective unconscious. They're not memories of events, they're memories of meaning. From this view, the handbag could symbolize the container archetype, the womb, the seed, the vessel that holds creation. In myths everywhere, life begins inside something. A shell, a home, a box, a bear. From Pandora's jar in Greece to the sacred satchels of shamans in Siberia, humanity keeps returning to the same image, something small that holds something infinite. That's what makes the handbag motif timeless. Even if it wasn't a physical tool, it carried an idea that divine truth must be contained, because if unleashed carelessly, it could destroy. It's the same paradox that defines faith, the sacred hidden within the ordinary. Modern thinkers like Graham Hancock and Andrew Collins push the mystery even further. They believe Gobekli Tepe wasn't just a temple, it was a monument built under guidance from survivors of a forgotten civilization. If true, the handbags might represent tools of knowledge handed down after a cataclysm, reminders of a world that fell before recorded history. According to Hancock, these symbols could be remnants of a global spiritual science, a system of understanding the cosmos through geometry, energy, and consciousness. The bag, then, is not about carrying water, it's about carrying wisdom. Archaeology hasn't proven this, but the emotional truth behind it is undeniable. We are drawn to the idea that someone, somewhere, once knew more than we do, and tried to leave a message before the light went out, thousands of years later. That message still echoes, not on temple walls, but on screens. The handbag of the gods has gone viral online. Clips from ancient aliens, TikTok animations, YouTube documentaries, all revisiting the same symbol, each offering a different theory, a new layer of wonder. Artists reimagine the handbag as a glowing cube, a portal, or a seed of divine energy. It's become a digital relic, reborn in pixels. And maybe that's fitting, because the symbol itself has always adapted, from stone to story, from myth to meme. Its survival across 12,000 years isn't proof of aliens or rituals. It's proof of us, our endless desire to seek meaning and mystery. Each carving, each theory, each click on a video like this is humanity's way of asking the same question the first carver must have whispered to himself beneath that ancient sun. What truth am I leaving behind? For thousands of years, the handbags of the Maz have stared back at us from temple walls and buried stones. Silent, unchanging, yet somehow alive. Maybe they never held water, gold, or divine tools. Maybe they carried something far more dangerous, an idea across every age. Humans have been obsessed with containment. We build temples to hold presence, books to hold truth, and hearts to hold love. Perhaps these ancient carvings were the first reminder that wisdom itself is a gift you can't hold forever. Only guard, pass on, and rediscover. What fascinates me most isn't the object, but the continuity. From the Sumerians to the Olmecs to Göbekli Tepe, different peoples, separated by oceans and centuries, felt compelled to sculpt the same image. That can't just be coincidence. It speaks to something inside all of us. A shared memory. A whisper that says there is more to life than what we see. And isn't that what faith really is? The belief that the visible hides the invisible? That behind every symbol, every ritual, there's a truth that can't be put into words, only carried, like a secret. Inside the soul? Maybe that's what the ancients were showing us all along. The handbag wasn't technology or treasure, it was a mirror, a reminder that divine knowledge doesn't come from the sky or the stars. It comes from within. We are the containers. We are the vessels of the sacred. When I look at those carvings now, I don't see alien tools or lost civilizations. I see humanity's fingerprints reaching across time, trying to remember who we are and where we came from. The same longing that built temples now builds telescopes. The same curiosity that carves stone now decodes DNA. We keep searching for the source because, deep down, we know it's still calling. So maybe the real mystery isn't what the gods carried. It's why they chose to share the symbol at all. Perhaps they wanted us to ask, to wonder, to never stop digging in the ground, in the past, and in ourselves. As you finish this video, ask yourself, what sacred truth have you been carrying without realizing it? What story carved into your own life still waits to be understood? Because somewhere, though, in that invisible space between myth and memory, faith and fact, the ancient bag still hangs, open, waiting for us to look inside. If this journey moved you, share your thoughts below. Do you believe the handbags of the gods were ritual symbols, or fragments of something lost? I'd love to hear your perspective. And remember, every mystery, no matter how old, begins again each time someone dares to ask.